Okay, and good afternoon and welcome to our latest ThinkTree series of webinars. Today we're really privileged to have Ruth Hull with us again. Hi Ruth.
Hello.
I'm Rosemary Farrow and I'm here from ThinkTree Hub. We are a professional association and training hub for people from the whole entire gamut of wellbeing, and we really focus on cutting edge approaches to therapy and also really supporting first-class trainers. So Ruth is a homoeopathic doctor, she's an integrative health consultant, she's 4 times published author and lecturer with over 20 years experience in natural health. And in fact, probably some of you have seen some of the books she's written because there's a really well-known Anatomy and Physiology for therapists and healthcare workers, got a green cover. We use it in our online A&P course. So, excellent. She's also written a complete guide to reflexology and then 2 workbooks to make learning A&P easier and more fun, I would say. I love colouring. On the other side, like many of us, she's got a family. She's got 2 teenage girls and she's into hiking, reading, travelling and being in nature. I'll join you in that one. And as she said, she's absolutely fascinated with the human body and a deep belief we're all created to heal ourselves. This is the first one in a series of training seminars Ruth's running, and it's really for therapists of every kind to go, do you know, with all this stuff going on, we have to work in a different way. I can't work in the old way, but have I got the tools to work in the way I need to work? I'm thinking about being a health coach, but actually, what does that mean? Do I already have some of the skills? Or what is it that I need to do in order to transition and do that? And I believe today, Ruth, you're going to share some really key strategies for all those therapists who are thinking about that. And for all of you watching, I'm just going to remind you, in fact, that there is a Q&A box. So Ruth is going to have a Q&A session at the end. So whenever you think of something, find the Q&A box, might be at the top of the screen, might be at the bottom of the screen, and simply type your question into there. If you can't find it, there's always a chat box. It's fine, we'll pick it up. So Ruth, can you just share a little bit more about where you're going to take people today?
Okay, thanks Rosemary, and welcome everybody. You have to forgive me, I'm actually really nervous. I've never done an online event before and I'm not technical. Rosemary and I have already had to call my husband in to make a few changes to my computer, so I'm hoping everything goes smoothly. But thanks to ThinkTree and Rosemary and Kush, because they've done all the technical side of this, so thanks to you guys. Okay, over the last few years, I've really changed the way I work with clients. I've quite dramatically changed it, and I've noticed 2 things. Firstly, I've noticed that I'm getting much better results with my clients and they're getting healthier and staying healthier longer. Secondly, I'm building deeper, more ongoing relationships with my clients and getting more referrals via them. So you might be wondering, what on earth am I doing differently? It's going to sound really strange, but I am taking a backseat in their healing journey. I'm trying not to give them health rules or to give them very specific guidelines. I'm trying not to be too involved or too controlling in their health. And instead, I'm trying to encourage them to see what they need for themselves. I'm trying to get them to ask themselves questions and to take control, to put themselves in the driver's seat. What amazes me, what I think I've learned most from all of this, is that we all really do have a healer inside us. And Norman Cousins said that every patient carries his own doctor inside him. And that's what I've realized as I'm working more as a coach and a guide and a mentor, as opposed to just a homeopath or a naturopath. I'm realizing that we all do have a healer within us. So that's the idea behind this webinar today, is that connection is where it all begins. If you as a therapist can connect with your clients, if you can get them to connect with themselves, to get get them to connect with their past, with their traumas, with their illness, get them to connect with who they really, really are and what they really want, then healing just starts happening on such a deep level. The word to heal, or the verb, use proper English here, the verb to heal actually comes from an old English word meaning whole. And when you get a person, when you manage to get that client to connect with themselves, connect with their illness, to acknowledge and accept all their scars, all their injuries, all their pain, they start to see themselves in their entirety and they start to see themselves as whole. And that's really what holistic health is. That's where the word holistic comes from. Now, we can't force our clients to connect with themselves, and we can't force our clients to accept their illness or to accept things that have happened to them in the past. A person really has to do this for themselves. There's no way about it. But what you can do as a therapist is you can create a space. You can create and you can hold a safe space for your clients to actually just explore themselves and explore their health on a very deep level. And that's what I'm going to walk you through today. I've made a little presentation. I'm going to try and share it on the screen with you, and I'm hoping the sharing works. And I'm going to talk you through how to create and to hold a safe space for your clients so that they can really start to connect with themselves. It's quite a short presentation, and at the end of it, please don't go away, because then we're going to do some work. Well, actually, I'm not going to do some work. You guys are going to do some work on yourselves. So please make sure you have a pen and a paper with you. And once the presentation is over, we're going to go into a little bit of work. Right. I'm going to try and connect my screen to your screen. So I really hope it works. If it doesn't work, please put it in the chat. Okay. Rosemary, can you see my screen? I just want to confirm that you can see my screen before I start talking.
Hi Ruth, it's absolutely fine and great now.
Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to go. Okay, more than anything, your client needs a safe space in which to explore their thoughts, in which to let go of their traumas and negative thought patterns and discover what is really possible for them. Michael Gervais is one of the world's top high-performance psychologists, and he has coached world record holders, CEOs of big companies, and even famous musicians. He says when working with clients, you need to do three things. You need to be quiet, you need to be curious, and you need to observe. At the same time, he says your clients need to do three things. They need to feel their pain. They need to know they have options, and they need to trust themselves. In order to create a safe space in which your client can let go of old narratives and choose new ones, you as a health coach need to be very aware of how you do things. And there's two things in particular. You need to be aware of how you listen to your clients and how you talk to them. You need to listen actively, but talk passively. I have to admit that listening actively is something I often struggle with, especially if I'm tired, if I'm overworked, if there's drama or chaos at home. I do have 2 teenage daughters. I've now got a kitten, a puppy, and a very grumpy old cat. So there's quite a lot of drama at home sometimes, and listening actively can be difficult. Really listening to a person takes a lot of energy, and it takes a surprising amount of concentration, because listening is not a passive act. And the word to listen actually means to pay attention to a sound. So I've got some techniques I'm going to share with you of how to listen actively and how to help your client feel heard, how to help them feel understood, and how to help them feel not judged. Gone ahead a bit, excuse me. To help your client feel heard, you really have to listen to everything they say and not think ahead. And I think this is something we often tend to do as therapists. As our clients are talking, we're already thinking in our minds, I wonder what herbs they need. I wonder what diet they need. I wonder what aromatherapy oil they need. I wonder what sort of therapy I should suggest to them. I think it's quite common for us to be thinking ahead because we want to have answers and we want to be able to fix our clients. But we're not there to fix them. We're there to listen to them, and that's the difference. So you really have to listen to every word they say and not think ahead. Last week, I met somebody, she's an improv person, she does improv, and she said to me something I wish someone had told me years ago. She said that they were taught to actively listen. What they do is they listen for the last word in a person's sentence. So when your client is speaking, try to listen so that you hear the last word in that person's sentence. This forces you to listen to the entire sentence. And it actually is a lovely tip, and I find so far it's working really well for me. Another great tip, another really good technique to help you listen actively to your clients is to repeat back key phrases that they have said to you. When I chat to clients, I always take notes because I don't have a very good memory. And I write down phrases that I feel are important to my client. It's very important that you don't repeat back everything your client says, because then I think you'll drive them a bit mad. You really have to listen to how they say things, and you really have to observe what they are doing as they're saying things. For example, when I start talking about something personal or deep or painful, I always feel like I get a frog in my throat. So I start going, clear my throat. Some people will start tapping their foot, playing with their hair. Quite a few people start giggling. So when you observe or when you notice that your client is changing how they're speaking, that's when you've really got to be aware of what they're saying, because now they're moving into more painful territory or more dangerous territory for themselves. And this is the kind of area you want to guide them into. You want to nudge them towards talking more about these issues. So take note of key phrases that your client says and repeat them back to your client word for word. Be very important to use your client's words exactly as they said them. Don't paraphrase and don't try and use your own words because you might misinterpret. So I'll give you an example. A client says, let's think of something. I first started having problems with my thyroid when I was a teenager. I noticed I put on a lot of weight, and I remember everyone teasing me about getting fat. So you need to say to your client, okay, you first started, I can't remember what I said now, you first started putting on weight when you were a teenager. You noticed yourself getting really fat and everyone started teasing you. Tell me more about that. Okay, you can see I haven't written this down, but as your client says important phrases, write them down and repeat them word for word. And then ask them, tell me more about that, or say, I would love to hear more about that. When you repeat back word for word what your client has said, it does two things. Firstly, it shows them that you are listening and it helps them to feel heard. Something else it does is it helps them actually hear their own voice and hear their own thoughts. It brings their awareness to what they're saying and how they're saying it. And this is when they start to really explore what is going on in their own minds and what they're really feeling. You also want your client to feel understood. And the best way to make sure you are understanding your client is to actually check your own perceptions. So now this is a bit of a different technique from making sure your client is being heard. because you're not going to repeat back their words verbatim. Instead, you're going to paraphrase what they've said. You're going to put what they've said into your own words to make sure you have understood what your client is saying. So that's quite different. So if your client says, every time my dad shouts at me, I get a sore tummy, you must say, so you get a sore tummy whenever your dad shouts at you? Am I right? Or is this correct? Can you see how you're confirming what your client has said? You're clarifying things. And a second thing to do there to check your perceptions is to sometimes give your clients a choice to make sure you understand how they are feeling. So back to the person saying, when my dad shouts at me, I get a sore tummy. You can say, when your dad shouts at you, you get a sore tummy. How do you feel when your dad shouts at you? Do you feel angry? Do you feel sad? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel humiliated? Do you feel trapped? Do you feel small? Can you see there's such a variety of feelings that can come up? And often we don't really know how we feel, or we're too afraid, or we don't have time to actually connect with our feelings. So what you're doing here is you're encouraging your client to connect with their feelings. And they might take time, and they might sit there and think, well, actually, it's not anger I feel small. And then you can talk more about that. You can say, you feel small. Tell me more about that. All right. So you see how you've got to check your perceptions, but in checking your perceptions and making sure you've understood the person correctly, you're also, again, connecting them with their thoughts and their emotions and their feelings. Another technique to help a person feel understood is to ask them for their own vision. Ask a person, what does being healthy mean to you? What does a good diet look like to you? Because it's different for each and every person. I actually once asked one of my patients this. I asked her, what does being healthy mean to you? She was overweight and she came to me because she had knee problems, a lot of knee pain. When I asked her this question, she said, being healthy to me is playing basketball with my kids. And I loved that answer. I just thought it was the most perfect answer, because it shows what health really is about. It shows that health is about being able to connect with people. It's about being able to play with your children. It's about being able to get old with strength and energy so that you can play with your grandchildren. It's about being able to climb mountains or do crossword puzzles with a good brain. It's basically, being healthy is not about having a perfect blood pressure of 120/80 or having your thyroid hormone levels within a specific range. Being healthy is about being able to be yourself, to be the person you were born to be, to reach your full potential. And as a health coach, this is really, really what you're aiming towards, sort of engendering in your client. You're aiming towards getting your client to be healthy the way they want to be, not the way you think healthy is. Right, now my computer stopped for some reason, so just give me a second. Okay. Right, it's much easier talking to people in real life than with a computer, I must say. Your client really needs to feel not judged. And I want you to note the word here, feel. No matter what words you use when talking to your client, no matter how well you repeat back their phrases or ask the right questions, if you see your client as a broken person needing to be fixed, they will feel you are judging them and they will feel broken. So it's really vital that you don't see your client as broken, that you don't see them as lacking in any way, or needing to be fixed. You simply need to listen to what your client has to say with curiosity and acceptance. So you have to be very aware of how you see your client. And to be aware of how you see your client, you actually have to be very aware of how you see yourself. The only way in which you can see your client as not broken is through working on yourself and seeing yourself as not broken, not lacking in any way, and not needing to be fixed. I'm saying this in this webinar specifically because I'm a therapist myself, and I know many therapists and many healers. And I know that a lot of us who get into the healing profession do so because we have been ill or we have been hurt. How many of you out there right now understand your client's pain because it's something you have felt yourself, something you can connect to on a very deep level? In order to help your client feel good, to feel whole, to feel enough just as they are, you as a therapist need to feel the sense of wholeness yourself. You need to walk the journey yourself, and you need to acknowledge the fact that everything you need, you already have. And I love these words by Bob Proctor. Okay, so to listen actively, you basically need to be quiet. To talk passively, you need to be curious. Because it's through being curious that you encourage your clients to connect with themselves, to see and own their stories, and to be aware that they have options, that there's many filters out there with which you can see the world, and that they can change their filters. I really believe that when we're ill, we need to stop and we need to listen to what our bodies are telling us. For example, I work with a lot of patients with chronic fatigue, and I think I drive them mad because I always say to them, if you're tired, you need to rest. Okay, and it's true. If you're tired, you do need to rest. If you're in pain, you need to stop what you're doing. If you have high blood pressure, you actually need to look at the situations you keep putting yourself into. You need to look at why you have high blood pressure. And you need to listen to your body. It does sound really simple, this, doesn't it? But it surprises me how many people, and myself included here, ignore their bodies and they keep pushing themselves, pushing. They keep doing what they keep doing and they don't question why they're doing it. So as a health coach, you're going to create a space in which your client stops and they become aware of what they're doing and they become aware of why they're doing it. They question themselves. They question their stories. They question their filters. People are too busy to stop listening to their bodies, or if they're not too busy, then they're afraid to hear what's going on. They're afraid to see themselves as they are, with all their injuries, their pain, and their scars. But they need to see their injuries. They need to feel their pain, and they need to accept their scars because they're part of them and they can't change them. So to encourage your clients to connect with themselves, you need to ask gentle questions to help them connect with whatever issue you can see that they're struggling with. So again, you observe how they're talking. You look for the changes in their manner, in their tone, in their voice when they're talking. And you pick up on the issues. You pick up on when they're moving into that difficult ground. And then you try and encourage them to connect with this and to experience what's going on. To encourage your client to connect with it, ask questions like, how do you feel? Be very careful here that you don't put your own feelings into it. I'm just going to make up an example quickly. And I know it is one that happens. I've been to therapists, like I've been for massages and I've been chatting to people as they're massaging me. And then they'll suddenly start telling me their stories. So you as a therapist have to be very careful. You don't start sharing your story with your client and making the whole session about you. So a made-up example is, let's just say I, as a therapist, am divorced, and a woman comes to me for a treatment, and halfway through the session, she comes to me because she's divorced and she's under a lot of stress, or she's going through a divorce. Halfway through the session, she says to me, you know, my husband actually cheated on me. Sorry, men in the audience. I don't mean to be one-sided here, but let's just say she says, my husband actually cheated on me. Don't say, oh my gosh, you must feel so angry, or you must be so angry. And don't say, really? Well, when my husband cheated on me, I was devastated. I was so sad. Don't put emotions into that person's mind or into their mouths, and don't bring your story into theirs. Instead, when she says, my husband cheated on me, say, I'm really sorry to hear that. How do you feel about it? And then she might say, well, I feel really angry or really sad. Or she might surprise you and say, actually, I feel relieved. I'm so glad to have gotten rid of him. Okay, so be careful not to make up an emotion for your client. Ask them how they're feeling. Once they've stated how they're feeling, once they've named an emotion, sometimes this may take time. Sometimes it's quite difficult for people to actually know or name their emotions. But let's just say she says, I feel angry. Then you can ask her, where in your body do you feel it? And give her time. This does take a lot of time. Just say, where do you feel it? And then be quiet. And after a while, she'll say, oh, I feel it in my throat, or I feel it in my back, or in my stomach. And wherever she feels it, say, I want you to take your hands and put your hands there. So if she said, I feel it in my throat, say, okay, now take your hands and put your hands on your throat and feel it. What does it feel like? And then clients can come up with amazing things of what it feels like, and let them talk. And then just say, okay, sit quietly now and just feel it. Now give your client time to feel it. If they start crying, if they break down, it's okay. Don't feel sorry for them. Don't take away their pain. Don't try and fix anything. Just say to them, it's okay. It's okay to feel how you're feeling. Just breathe and just feel it. You want to give your client time here. You want to let them breathe, and you want them to experience that emotion. You are holding a space for them. Okay, you're holding a safe space for them. You're not trying to change anything. This is so important. The word compassion actually comes from a Latin word compati, and it means to suffer with. You want to sit with your clients and you want to let them suffer. It sounds terrible, I know, but they need to suffer. You need to let them feel. You need to let them acknowledge their own pain. Don't feel sorry for them, and don't try and fix them. Give them the dignity of their journey, and just sit there quietly and use words like, it's okay. It's okay to feel that way, or I hear you. People are often afraid to own their stories. And as a health coach, you need to encourage them to accept and take ownership of what goes on in their lives. Although it's important to let your clients lead the conversation, there are times when you actually need to interrupt so that you can guide them back to their stories. People love to avoid pain. They love to avoid what hurts them. And you'll notice when your client is trying to avoid something or trying to dissociate with their own stories or with their experiences, when they start to use the word you. So they'll say something to you like, you know, when you feel really tired and everybody just wants a piece of you. This is when you need to stop them and say, I just want to stop you for a minute, or sorry to interrupt, but I don't want you to use the word you. Please will you use the words I or me. Get your client to say, you know, when I feel really tired and everybody wants a piece of me, I feel, and then get them to tell you how they feel. Again, you want them to feel what they need to feel, to experience what they need to experience, and to say what they need to say. This is how they'll move forward. Another time you may need to interrupt your client is when you notice negative patterns that keep coming up. For example, if your client gets stuck in a pattern of negative self-talk, you need to stop it during that session. Otherwise, it will take over the session. To interrupt negative patterns, all you have to do is bring your client's awareness to it. So for example, if you have a client struggling to lose weight and you notice they keep repeating the pattern, I'm so fat, I'm so fat. Bring their attention to it. Count how many times they say it and then stop them and say, are you aware that in the last 20 minutes you have said the words, I am so fat 5 times? Don't worry about it, don't stress about it, but I want you to be aware of how you talk about yourself. That's all you need to do. Through bringing your clients' awareness to their own patterns, they begin to see what filters they're seeing their world through. And this here is the crux to changing people's bad health habits. If a person can become aware of their filters, then they can change their habits. They can always choose new filters. That person can choose to stop seeing themselves as so fat. They can choose to start seeing themselves as quite healthy. And when you see yourself as healthy, you actually start making more of an effort to become healthy. I don't know if many of you guys follow Tom Billier. He does lovely podcasts. And I remember him once saying that he doesn't try to make new habits. He just lives what he wants to be, or something to that effect. I can't remember his exact words. But if you want to be something, then just be it. If you want to be healthy, instead of keep on saying, I am going to try and be healthy, just start thinking that you're healthy and start thinking how you want to live, and then you'll actually start living your lives more like that. So that's something I like to tell my clients. Okay, it's been quite a short presentation, but I'm going to stop here now because I want us to do some work together, and then I also want to leave some time for some questions and answers. I've just put on my screen my website, and if you're interested in hearing more from me, please go onto either of them and subscribe to my mailing list. I'm going to be writing quite a few blogs on health coaching, and also if you have enjoyed today's webinar, or if you are enjoying it, please let Rosemary know, and I'm more than happy to do some more free webinars on health coaching through ThinkTree. Also, together with ThinkTree, I've developed some short courses on how to coach your clients through different health issues, such as inflammation, gut health, and stress. And I know that a lot of you are not working at the moment, and you've had your lives turned completely and utterly upside down. So we are offering a 75% discount on all courses until the end of August. So they're really, really cheap. So I recommend you do them. I think they're great. But take a look at them. If you do look at my Health Lounge website, please remember to put .au at the end, because I am now in Australia. Right, I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. And have you all got your pens and paper ready? I hope so. Now, I want you to relax, and I want you to take off your therapist's hat and become a client for a while. I want you to get to know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of a coach. And instead of telling you how to do an introductory coaching session, I'm going to talk you through it. To begin with, I want you to think of an area of your life where you feel like you're pushing an elephant up a hill. Somewhere where you're really struggling, where things just aren't going as you want them to. For some of you, it may be your health. For others of you, it may be your business, a relationship, or even your self-confidence. I know that a lot of you are feeling quite lost at the moment. And so this can be anything, although it's a health coaching webinar. When it comes to coaching, the principles are the same. So focus on where you're really stuck. Health, relationships, finances, business, confidence. Focus where you're feeling most lost. Okay, I want you to write down at the top of your paper the area that you want to focus on. So if it's with your health, what is it? If it's with your business, what is it? Your finances, what is it? Just write down at the top of your paper what you want to focus on. And I've just realized I do not have a timer. So I'll give you guys a few seconds to think of what you really want to focus on. I'm going to get my stopwatch because I'm going to time you. Okay, sorry about that, bit of lack of organization here. All right, we're going to begin, and to open up the session, I want us to take a minute to ground ourselves and set an intention for the session. When setting your intention, I want you to think about what area of your life you want to focus on today and how you want to change it. I'm going to guide you through a grounding process now. So please make sure you're sitting with your back up straight and both your feet on the ground. Can you close your eyes and just breathe deeply? With your eyes closed, I want you to bring your awareness to your surroundings. Listen to all the different sounds in your room. What can you hear? Bring your attention to your body. Feel yourself sitting up nice and tall. Feel both your feet on the floor. You are supported. You are strong and you are calm. Keeping your eyes closed, ask yourself, what is my intention for today? And now, just keep breathing in and out. Listen to the sound of your breath, and as you do so, just take note how the air is cooler when you breathe in and warmer when you breathe out. Okay, take a nice deep breath and slowly open your eyes. When you open your eyes, write your intention down at the top of your piece of paper. Okay, I hope everybody is feeling nice and grounded and present. I'm going to put you under some pressure now. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to write down the answers. I'm going to tell you the question first and then I will tell you when I start timing, because I'm going to time you for 2 minutes. You only have 2 minutes to write your entire answer, so you have to write as quickly as possible without thinking. Some of you might feel you have absolutely nothing to write, but you still have to write for 2 minutes without stopping. I will read the whole question first, and then I will tell you when I start timing, and I will tell you when I stop. Okay, so question number 1. I want you to think about an area in your life you are struggling with right now. I want you to describe this part of your life in as much detail as possible. What is going on at the moment? What is bad about it? How you're feeling about it? How it is making you feel and making you behave? What it is doing to you, to your family, your friendships, your relationships, your work, your ability to earn money. Okay, so pick up your pens. I'm going to get my timer ready. And you're just going to write for 2 minutes about how your current situation is. Right, you may begin. Got 30 seconds left. Keep writing. And stop. Pens down. Everybody put your pens down. No more writing. Question number 2. Think ahead 5 years and imagine that in these 5 years, you've made absolutely no effort to improve or change your current situation. So it's 5, even 10 times worse. You are now in the middle of the worst case scenario. Everything that is currently bad in your life is now much, much, much worse. Again, I want you to see everything in detail. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? How are you feeling? How are you and your situation affecting your family, your friends, your relationship, your work, your money? I want you to get dramatic here. Okay, you have 2 minutes. You may start. 30 seconds left. Keep writing. And stop. Put your pens down. Right. Are your hands feeling a bit sore by now? I'll give you a minute just to read this quote because I absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful. Okay, question number 3. We're going to go ahead by 5 years again, but this time you have spent 5 years working on yourself and growing to reach your full potential. You've faced all your demons and you've worked really hard, and you now have your dream life. You have the life you really, really want. Everything is exactly as you dream it could be. So I want you to imagine this perfect life and your perfect situation. And I want you to write down where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, how you're feeling. Okay, how your family and your friends are feeling. And off you go. This is the last writing, so don't stress if your hand's getting sore. "30 seconds left. All right, put your pens down. That's enough of all the scribbling and all the writing, and I hope your hands aren't too sore. Now we're going to do something very difficult. You're going to read through your answers to questions 2 and 3. And as you read through them, I want you to see which one you have the strongest reaction to. One of them is going to make you feel something more than the other. Do you feel inspired and alive when you read your future you? Or do you feel a little bit sick when you read your worst case scenario? Which feeling is the strongest? We're all different, and some of us are inspired by what we can gain more than what we're afraid of, whilst others of us are driven by fear. We're motivated by fear. So you need to know which one is you. Circle or underline which future you has the biggest push or pull. And once you know this, you can use this. If you find that you are pulled by your future you, then put some pictures of a future you up on your fridge or up in your bedroom. Put some pictures of what inspires you and what you want to be. If it's more from fear, then write out those fears and put them where you see them so they push you. You need change. You need to be motivated or inspired to change. And now this is the last little bit of work for the day. I want you to read through all 3 answers and see if there's something that you repeat in each answer. You want to look for a pattern or for patterns. There'll be something that comes up in all 3 answers, and this is what is probably playing on your mind. I'll just give you an example. Just say you chose to focus on health. And in your first answer, when describing your current situation, you write that you struggle with insomnia, you're overweight, and you're always irritable. In your answer where you wrote about your worst case scenario, you see that you actually wrote about insomnia again, saying you lost your job because you fell asleep at your desk. And in your future perfect scenario, you wrote again about sleep, how you sleep so well every night. And you noticed you didn't even mention being irritable or overweight because you're so busy writing about how good you feel because you sleep. Okay, so you can see that sleep is obviously an issue for you. So just circle or write down or underline the main pattern that comes up. Some of you may have more than one pattern. You may have a couple, and just see which you have the strongest attraction to. A lot of coaching is just getting to know your feelings and know what where your attractions are in terms of your health or what you need. Okay, so this is the pattern that you're going to start working on. It's the one that is probably having the biggest impact on your situation. And whatever the pattern is, whatever the topic, if it's sleep, if it's diet, if it's blood pressure, if it's weight, confidence, finances, mood swings, whatever this pattern is, this is what needs attention in your life at the moment. This is where you need to put some awareness and some focus. The process I've just taken you through, I know it takes quite a while, but it is vital. And I like to think of it as setting the scene for health coaching. It's important to know what is really playing on our minds, because often what we think is the issue actually isn't. We don't want to waste our time and energy trying to change things that don't need to be changed. So through using simple tools like using our imaginations and writing under pressure, we can sidestep all the voices in our head and we can actually see the underlying patterns in our lives that are actually there. We're going to stop here now, and I'm really hoping I've given you some tools to use in your own practice. Remember, when working with a client who wants to change their lifestyle, both you and your client need to be on the same page. You both need to know who your client is, what motivates and inspires them, and what they really want. Most importantly, you and your client needs to know why they really want what they want. So thanks for listening. And yeah, Rosemary, are there any questions? I'm a bit worried I've gone over my time.
Hi Ruth, that was great. You certainly had one comment from Megumi that it really reminded her of when she was training. And oh, let me come back. Let me start my video. I just realised I haven't done that. Yeah, you know, so often I think people have a little bit of this approach when they're training, and then they go out in the world and it's kind of chop, chop, chop.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to do this. And I think what you're also talking about is completely setting allowing people the power to work in the way instinctively they may want to work in.
Yeah, and remind themselves why they got into the profession in the beginning.
Yeah. And, but if you have got direct questions, so far we're just getting like Sharon says, that was great, Ruth. Thank you very much. And Angela, hi Angela, and says, what a fabulous session.
Thank you.
And she said, found what you've said very, 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 very useful.
Thank you. Thanks. Alrighty. I think I've managed to keep in time.
I've managed to keep in time. I haven't got any doubt. I think people are still processing.
It's fine.
Oh no, we have. They thought, oh no, don't you go away. Oh no, it's Rosemary. She's actually said it's been really helpful, and that I/we will be following your suggestions, which is brilliant. And I think quite often you've been, you know, you've taken this from very much from an angle of learn by doing. So
yeah.
it's a great way. It's non-intellectualized. It's completely experiential, which is fantastic. So obviously, if people want to watch this through again, we'll have the video up. If people wanted to do, where can people go and book on if they want to actually learn how to take people through, coach people through inflammation and gut health and stress?
So they can either come to Thinktree, your website, all my courses are on there, or they can go to my website, it's thehealthlounge.com.au, and on there they will see all my courses that are up. So far I have the one on inflammation and the one on gut health, and hopefully by the end of next week, the one on, it's entitled Let's Talk About You, that's about stress, that will be up. And they're 1.5 to 2 hour courses. I really go into depth on like inflammation or gut health and how you as a therapist can work with your client on that. There's quite a lot of anatomy and physiology in them, because it's important to know what you're doing and what you're talking about. Yeah.
Just a quick question for me. Someone who's trying to transition much more into health coaching, how does it help them to position themselves as they're doing that? Say with existing clients or new clients, how would they position themselves?
Sorry, can you ask that question a different way? I'm not too sure what you...
Okay, so say somebody's had a massage client for 10 years, they just come to them, normal thing, and they go, this client really could benefit from coaching. They're going really from one perception of them to a client, and their clientele, their existing clientele, having a very different perception of them. So to make that decision,
I think, it's quite difficult that's quite a difficult question to answer. But, it's the way you treat clients. I think we often, we try to gather labels and titles, I'm a this therapist and I'm a that therapist. And clients aren't going to come to you because of your title. They come to you because of how you treat them and how you work with them. So you can just make it a natural transition. You're still a massage therapist and you can chat to your client, and after the massage, you can keep talking to them. It's how you relate to your client. Whilst you're doing the treatment, I know some people do not like to talk when having a massage, whilst other clients get very, very chatty. So you don't have to label yourself. It's just how you treat your clients and how you talk to them. You can, if you want to, you can do a proper full health coaching course. I did one through Primal Health, who I think are amazing. It's an online, they're an American company. It was a great course. So if you want a label of a health coach, you can do a full-on course. But I don't think I think therapists tend to spend a lot of money gathering titles and gathering qualifications. Am I right? And
right.
yes, and I think that instead of gathering all these qualifications, you actually just have to, it's how you are with your clients that matters. And it's the way you treat them that will get them to come back to you and will get them to refer their friends and their family to you. It's not the qualification, it's not the label you have or the title you have. Yeah.
And that is probably the thing we need to think about ourselves, if you want the word, the dreaded F.
Yes.
F word.
Yes. Yes.
I think that is a wonderful way. If nobody's got any more questions, because as I said, they are processing. Sharon, I hope you can hear me better now. Microphone isn't covered. I don't know. Do obviously just follow up. You can drop me a question. I'm sure I can pass it on to Ruth. Do have a look at her courses, because I think you can see the way that Ruth works today is very direct and very deep and very practical.
And very bossy. I am bossy.
I didn't say that. Anyway, for now, I'm going to thank Ruth really well. Thank everyone who's watching it live, who's going to watch the recording. If you liked it, pass the recording on to your friends. Let's share the love. Share the love. And thank you so much, and see you again. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Rosemary. Bye-bye.